Hey YouTube, it's Adrian. Just before we get you to this video, do me a favor and head over to pageantlaunch.com. We are starting the world's first dedicated pageant review site, and I would love for you to join our launch team. All you need to do is put in your email address. It's completely free. We are looking to make a pageant industry that is safe, transparent, and fair. I know it's like that most of the time, but over the last year, it's become very evident that it's not like that all of the time. So head over to pageantlaunch.com, put in your email address, and let's get you to this. Hey everyone, it's Adrian from the Pageant Project, and first off, before I forget anything, apparently I've given Chloe a promotion. I've written Miss Galaxy 2018. It's Miss Galaxy Scotland 2018 before I get into trouble, in case Miss Galaxy 2018 ever watches this and decides to sue me. Please don't. But we've got a full house today, and we're going to be talking about all things to do with interview. I'm going to go around and catch up with everyone, and whilst we're doing that, I'm going to see if I can work out why Danielle is going big, small, big, small, big, small, big, small. Now Lauren is going big, small, big, small, big, small. It's normally an internet issue. If the internet's not fast enough, it goes, oh, okay, I'll make this thing a bit smaller, and then bigger, smaller, bigger. Anyway, I'll deal with that in a sec. But our special guest for today is the aforementioned Chloe Lake. Chloe, how have you been going with isolation? And I understand you've become quite an expert on The Sims.
Yeah, so basically spending all my time speaking to, well, Danielle was saying off air, like, I feel like we've just been speaking constantly. So Dan, Lauren, Joe, all the girls, and spending all my time on The Sims 4. I'm actually supposed to be working from home as well, but I feel like I'm spending more time on The Sims than I am actually doing any work.
Joanna Johnson has said, my girl. So you guys might be able to see this. Hey, Joe. Hope you are doing well. Our stream is working tonight because you're not on with us. So, Chloe, can you play The Sims multiplayer, or are you just playing it by yourself and living like vicariously through your sim?
Yeah, just by myself in my room on my laptop as if I was 13 years old. You know, making my Sims go to work, get married, sending pictures to Sam going, look, our Sims are married now, look at this.
Wow, we're being subtle.
The girls as well.
Subtle about things. Meggie G, good evening. I was going to say good morning, but it's good evening. Okay, so that's what Chloe has been up to. It's obviously spending a bit too much time indoors like the rest of us. Miss Parkinson, Miss Wales finalist. What was the last title that you had? Was it a Miss Galaxy title? Was Miss Galaxy Wales? No, Miss Grand.
No, Miss Grand Wales.
Miss Grand Wales. What was your actual Galaxy title?
Miss Galaxy Wales 2017, then Miss Grand Wales 2018. 2017,
2018. Chloe Lake is Miss Galaxy Scotland 2018.
Chloe competed the year I handed over, and we had to like pretend we weren't friends.
Which was a better year, Lauren? 2017 or 2018?
That's not even a hard question. Obviously 2017. I mean, we did win an award at Galaxy for the best year. Myself and Tanya and Chloe were the judges. So all my 2017 sister queens. So we nominated ourselves and awarded ourselves with the best year.
We're being so subtle today. Chloe is going like this, and before she's getting her Sims married and sending photos to Sam. Lauren, catch us up with what's been going on whilst I try to fix Danielle's glitching webcam.
Do we to jump back in, or?
No, it's I'll see if I can deal with it.
Yeah, I haven't really been doing much except, you know, everyone's in isolation. I hope everyone's staying safe and everyone's well. I've just become a domestic goddess. Sleeping till 12, waking up hungry. My mum will make me a sandwich. No, I'm joking. That was only today.
Are you sure you're only joking?
She'll probably come upstairs and slap me in a minute. No, but we've been going on our hourly walks. We're only allowed 1 hour a day, so we've been doing that. I've been passing my grandma's house and my dad's house and being like waving to them from the outside. And that's it, really. Just been playing Sims, watching Netflix, and eating brownies. And that's all.
Sounds like an eventful.
And I did come up with a little project called the Pageant Sister Project, which is basically where we're now having older pageant girls or more experienced pageant girls mentor the younger generation that are coming up through pageantry and mentoring them on how to stay safe on the internet, how to be a good role model and the do's and don'ts of pageants. So it's on like a more one-to-one basis with each individual girl.
Cool. So how's that going? Do you need more people to sign up? I remember seeing like it was a little bit imbalanced. Like was it more mentors or you needed?
So at the moment, like some mentors have got like 3 girls, so it would be a massive help if anyone is interested in being a mentor. Please message me. Don't just say I want to be a mentor. I need like who are you? Yeah. What's your pageant history? Just it makes it so much easier for myself to kind of know who's going to be a good fit for a mentor.
Yeah, cool. All right. So if you have a bit more experience and you want to mentor someone, not like any of us really have that much else to do. We certainly got a lot of spare time. So message Lauren. Danielle, I can't do anything about your webcam, not that I can see.
Oh, man.
So I don't.
Always me.
I know, but this is normally it's an internet speed thing. You can see Lauren just did it there as well. So when your internet speed is a bit slow. Yeah. Anyway, Danielle, catch us up with. I mean, people have seen you twice already since UK Galaxy.
Yeah, I know. You guys are going to get sick of me.
What have you been up to since our interview?
Since our interview, I have filmed a few YouTube videos, which has been very exciting. I've laid off TikTok for a little bit, just for now, just to focus on, getting the YouTube up and running. For those that don't know, I have taken a huge plunge into the community, into the YouTube community, something I've wanted to do for over 10 years now, before I got involved in pageantry, in fact. And I've finally taken the step, just because we've got a little bit of extra time in our hands. Yeah. With my job, I can't work from home. I'm client facing, so I have a lot of spare time on my hands. So I have been making YouTube videos, editing them, uploading them, and doing a lot of research around YouTube. So I've been doing a lot of that. We played the Pageant Pub quiz as well. Myself, Lauren, and Chloe and Joanna, Natpav and Kat were all in a group together for the pub quiz, and we did very well with that.
We had to have a bit of a Steve Harvey moment though, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
We had to ask for a recount because one of the questions we got right, but the answer was said wrong, so we had to have a little recount.
It was because it said, what year did Holly start UK Galaxy? Or something along those lines. But in fact, 2018, she appointed people to go, but she never actually had a pageant until 2009. So we put 2009 being the year she actually started Galaxy. So I messaged Holly. Holly confirmed that, in fact, we were right, and we had a recount.
I mean, there were 3 formers and 2 current Galaxy Queens. There was no way that we were getting that question wrong. We were 100% right.
I was going to say, I couldn't forgive you for getting that question wrong.
No. Right. Joanna was like the 10th crown of the 10-year anniversary.
Exactly.
So she'd remember.
And poor Megan, she's like, oh no, what am I going to do? I have to go on back live and tell everyone that I got it wrong. And
we're there like, do it now. We want to
announce it.
Wow, poor Meggie G. Okay, so Joanna Johnson, I don't know if you guys can read the comments on the site because it's a bit small, but Joanna Johnson has voted for 2018 being the best year. Lauren, your mum has said that she is your slave. And then Meggie G has said, funniest thing ever, I was weak. Awkward silence.
It was funny. And then we all jumped on House Party We've been playing house party games for the past few days, haven't we, girls? Which has been loads of
well until I almost got hacked.
Yeah, so we've all deleted it now.
What's been going on with House Party? I've downloaded it. I haven't been. Every time I open it, I close it as quickly as I can because I'm worried someone is going to turn my webcam on whilst I'm on the toilet or something like that. So what? You've all downloaded it. You've all jumped on it, and now what? You've all got rid of it.
Yeah.
So what it is where they store your data that has been hacked. So they've got your email address, your contact number, your phone number. So now they're able to hack you like online banking if they can get a reset on your password or something like that. So they've got basically all your information.
Okay, so we're all now getting off House Party, are we? Is that?
I deleted mine.
Okay, all right. I'd better go on that. I better get on that. I haven't used it yet, but anyway. All right. What we will do today. I mean, if you didn't see the intro video, you can see the ticker going above our heads. Those are the people who've been kind enough to donate to our Pageant TripAdvisor site. So the bar is underneath Chloe's picture, the Pageant TripAdvisor site. Lauren's name is one of the lovely names at the top. Lauren Parkey, she's donated, so thank you, Lauren. But what we wanted to do, anyone else want to take over hosting duties?
Good morning, Adrian.
It's too early in the morning, but I do have my Galaxy mug, so.
Well, I've got my Rachel Allen bottle.
Very.
Good sponsor plug.
Very good. Okay, we're going to talk all things interview. So if you have any questions about interview, and I can see a bunch of you are watching, but you might just have us on in the background, which is cool. You'll be able to hear our answers, but obviously we can't answer questions that you haven't asked in the comments. So if you have any questions about interview, if you need any advice about interview, we have the expert in the house, being Chloe. And obviously Lauren and Danielle have I was going to say a bad word. They have a metric ton of experience between them. I was going to say, yes. You can use your imagination to fill in the gaps. But there's obviously a lot of experience in the virtual house to do with interview. So, Chloe, I know you did a live in the empowerment group. I guess, why don't we start with what's sort of the most common questions or common phobias you've had with all the interview coaching you've been doing? What have been sort of the most common questions people have asked you?
I think it's more questions that encourage girls to actually big themselves up. So in fact, we've been talking today in our little group chat that we have about what to do if you got asked a question of, if you weren't to win, who would you like to win? A lot of girls would kind of err on the side of caution and go, well, actually, I've made a really good friend today, and it's this girl, and this is everything that she's done, and all of a sudden you're using your interview to talk about someone else. And I think as well, just verbalizing how to answer that tell me about yourself question in a way that leaves a lasting impression and gets across everything that you want to say without rambling on. I think that's a really big focus that I try and kind of take on with the girls that I work with.
All right. So in terms of that particular question, I've got a bunch of practice questions here. We might actually run through them and you guys can give us your opinions as to how you would answer them. But Chloe, in terms of that, you right there, Lauren?
No, I'm nervous. I hate doing interviews in front of people that aren't the judges.
Oh, well, then you don't have to give us your answers, and you can just critique everyone else's answers if you'd prefer that way.
Let me take notes.
You can give them a score out of 10 or 20, and now we can see who the winner is.
I'll be the judge. Yeah.
There you go.
I can flex my interview skills here.
The newly crowned Mrs. Galaxy UK. There's a lot of Galaxy firepower here. But Chloe, in terms of that particular question, because that is one that I've heard as well, that is one that's maybe not answered the best. So what you were saying in terms of if someone asked you if you weren't to win, so how would you advise answering that one?
I would always start by showing appreciation to what other girls have done. I personally would do that quite generally. Obviously, everyone has worked hard in in their own way. You know, some girls may have gone out and done 100 appearances, some girls may have gone out and raised lots of money for charity, but I would wrap that up quite quickly, and I would want to draw a bit of attention onto what I had done. So I would maybe say something like, you know, whilst I appreciate that the girls have worked hard to be here, I hope that you can see within myself the qualities of a winner. You know, I have done X, Y, and Z. And I think that does show that I am ready for this crown, ready for this opportunity. And I would make sure that I ended that question talking about me and talking about why I would be the winner, just to ensure that there was no doubt in the judge's mind that I'm ready. And I appreciate that about myself.
Nice. Miss Latimer, what about yourself? How would you answer that question?
Mine's very similar in the sense that I would always acknowledge the other girls and be like, every single girl who has worked hard and they're all unique in their own way. They can each bring something different to the title. And for me, the number one thing that I ask, and this is a tip that I learned from Maria, the number one thing that I ask is if tonight is not my night, please choose someone that will work just as hard as what I would, and that would really appreciate and use this title as much as I would. And I will keep coming back until the judging panel sees in me the queen that I see in myself. So if it's not me, I ask you to pick another hard worker.
Yeah, I remember being there when Maria told you that. I was like, oh, wow, that's a really good way of answering the question. I mean, in terms of content, it's exactly the same as what Chloe said. It's just a particular way of wording it that seems to have worked for Maria.
Yeah, you don't want to give airtime to someone else in your interview. It's your time to shine. And with that, you're throwing it back on the judges and saying, look, it's your job to pick the right girl. Yeah. And if it's not going to be me, it has to be a girl that's working hard.
It that way if you haven't worked hard. So just make sure that if you're going to answer it that way, you've actually done the work for them to be
100%.
Yeah.
So
that's the one thing. Like, you want to work hard and you want to do the appearances, but if you haven't done it, you cannot walk in that interview room and say, I've worked hard. You haven't. It's just a waste.
So Lauren, do you have any other ways that you would answer that question?
I don't know really, because it is about if you really believe in what you've done, it is just answering it in that way. But obviously, if you haven't done as much as someone else is, I would say just be honest. And if someone has worked harder, just say like you admire the work that they've put in, and you hope now that with this platform of being a winner that you can do exactly what you want to do with it and work just as hard as they would too, and obviously hold yourself at such a high standard because you are representing all those other girls in that room.
Yeah. In terms of working hard, I mean, there's obviously appearances, but then there can only be one person who has the most appearances. And we've often discussed what counts and doesn't count as an appearance. So what other than appearances would you guys consider to be an indication of who's worked the hardest? Is there anything other than appearances? I'll throw it to Chloe first. Is there anything other than appearances that you would count in terms of being the hardest working queen, if you're going to talk about yourself as the hardest working queen?
Yes. 1,000%. This is something that I found myself kind of saying to multitudes of other people over Galaxy Weekend. There are so many ways that you can work hard. I would always recommend doing as much as you possibly can, but your as much as you possibly can might be you work 7 out of 7 days a week and you've managed to do 30, 40 appearances, then maybe someone that hasn't got that same commitment and has done 100, but actually they could have done more. And I think it's really being able to appreciate that people work as hard as they can, but that's very, very relative. I also think that what you can bring out of your normal life, your everyday, to the title is something really important. I spoke about this in my live. From my own personal experience, I chose to discuss mental health awareness throughout the whole entirety of my reign. And then, so last year, Emma Collingridge continued on with my Miles for Mind, and this year, Olivia McPike is as well. So that's something that I was able to bring that wasn't really anything to do with making appearances, wasn't really anything to do with the pageant per se. but that's becoming a little bit of a tradition. And I just think I would love, and like I've been saying this to Lauren and Joe, so I think I would really, really love to see a more appreciation for how girls can work hard on themselves
without doing 200
because it's all well and good doing these millions and millions of appearances, but I want to know you. I want to know what makes you tick, and I want to know what stamp you're going to put on that crown, because that's what it's all about. It's all about leaving that lasting impression and being someone that people remember.
And as well, I think you can do like 100 appearances, and they could be 100 appearances of different varieties. But what is something that you feel passionate about?
Yeah.
Don't lose momentum up to internationals or up to your pageant. Like, you still need to have a clear message that you want to talk about in your interview. And if you are off doing X, Y, and Z and doing so many things, your mind will be all over the place and you will not have a clear direction. And that's one thing you need to have: a clear direction, a clear, not a platform, but a clear motive for wanting to do this pageant.
Yeah. I'm just going to circle around to a question that we've had from Amber Louise Flounders, and this is one that I know is a huge issue, particularly with UK girls and Australian girls culturally, but you understand when I ask it. She said, I am so bad at bigging myself up, and I never want to come across as arrogant. And I know that in terms of Americans, I've witnessed that they seem to be stereotypically better at talking about themselves. I don't think they would see it as bigging themselves up or being arrogant. They view it as confidence, and I think that's a cultural thing. But Chloe, when you've worked with people, have you found that the girls that you've worked with have had issues at sort of talking, well, as Amber has said, bigging themselves up? Has that been an issue?
Most definitely. And I think it is, as you say, it is a cultural thing. We are very much like, a lot of people in the UK will just kind of sit down and let someone else take the limelight and not show that appreciation for all of the fantastic work that you've done. I mean, some girls go and raise like £10,000 for charity and think that is absolutely normal and is just like, yeah, I've done that. So what I try and say, like, if a girl's come into an interview that you're judging and she's turned around to you and said, well, I've raised £10,000, what would you think to that? And 10 times out of 10, the girls will go, oh my God, that's amazing. And then it's like, okay, so do you see that that's amazing? Oh, well, actually, yeah. And then it's all about making sure that they can kind of lead with that momentum. And then you'll find that you'll go through other questions and that you'll get more tidbits of information because they then start to see that within themselves.
What happens on that note, because it can, I know you guys wouldn't, but I know that there are some girls who will say the certain things that they've done, and it's almost like an intimidating thing. Whether they mean it or not, who knows? But with your example, if they say, I've raised £10,000, and let's say you've raised 9,999, or maybe you're, a mother of 3 and you work a day job and you simply couldn't have raised that much. How do you big yourself up or talk about yourself as the ideal client or as the ideal candidate for the title if, let's say, the numbers don't go your way?
I mean, that is quite a difficult one. In terms of the numbers not going your way, it's difficult to say. Obviously, girl A's raised £1,000, girls B's raised £200. Girl A goes into her interview and says, I've raised £1,000. The judges go, wow, that's amazing. And girl B goes in there and says, well, actually, guys, I've raised £200. I've been able to do this whilst juggling a family life, a full-time job, and all of the other commitments that this pageant has, given me. So this was a massive, massive achievement for me. Girl B's just sold it. And you already are feeding into that answer and you're going, well, clearly that is a huge achievement for her. So I think on the maths, girl A will win the best, best fundraiser award.
Yeah.
But in the interview, girl B's absolutely smashed it, and you are kind of emotionally involved in what she's done to get to that sum of money.
So is it?
You guys go. Everyone is different. So each person's circumstances are going to be different. You know, maybe someone's building a business and doing Galaxy, and they haven't been able, maybe they work weekends and work long hours and they haven't been able to do the appearances, but someone only works, 9 till 5 Monday to Friday, so they've got the whole weekend to do something. Everyone's circumstances are so different, so you can't say, oh, well, I've worked harder than her. No, because she could have been doing appearances in between shifts or in between anything, and that's her example of working hard. But it's about getting that out in the interview, not making excuses for yourself. Don't do that. Don't say, well, I couldn't do this because I work this. No, it's I've done this whilst doing this, whilst working or building a business. Like, it's about the way you word things and how you're getting that out to the judges.
I feel like in the UK in particular, we have this negative connotation. I hate the term bigging yourself up, because it makes you feel like you've got a fat head, you're arrogant. Get rid of that term. Call it, I'm giving myself credit for what I've done.
Credit where I'm giving myself a pat on the back for working bloody hard.
Come on, girl, you've made it to the final. Give yourself some credit. You've made it here and you've worked hard in the run-up. Just give yourself credit. Don't see it as bigging yourself up, because that is so negative.
Yeah, and if a
credit's where it's due.
It as that, then they shouldn't be judging a pageant. If you think a girl's walked in and she's there talking about all of her achievements, and you think, oh, well, she's big-headed, why would I want her to be a winner if she's got that? No, just be excited for how much these girls have achieved as well, and give the credit where it's due.
And it's all about, and from like the girls' point of view, leading on to what Danielle said about giving credit, also appreciating everything that you bring to the table. I like looking at it like that. Sorry.
In Australia, I don't know if you guys are familiar, because I include Australia having Australian girls having the same issue as you UK girls, because in Australia we have this phrase tall poppy syndrome. I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but we literally have the phrase tall poppy syndrome here in Australia, which means if you become taller, so if you, let's say, talk about yourself or your achievements, we will cut you back down to size, because it's the flip side of mateship. In Australia, mateship is a big deal. It's got great qualities about it, but the flip side is that if you stand out, the idea is that Australians will cut you back down to size because we want everyone to be the same. And that's why I say culturally, Australia and UK, I think, are quite similar in these regards. Whereas Americans, when I tell them about tall poppy syndrome, they're quite shocked, because for some reason they grow up with the belief, I don't know why, that they are the best or that they can do it. If you talk to entrepreneurs in America, it's very, very different spirit culturally over there than it is in the UK and Australia. So I think Amber Louise has asked a very big question there, a very good question.
And I think there's a difference, though, between being arrogant, and I think people will recognize when someone is being arrogant. And I think if you're confident in what you've done, also be nice to others and encourage them to do more too, but just don't do it in a nasty way.
Yeah. I think most of the people watching hopefully would never be nasty with it. Hopefully. So guys, if you have any questions about interview, I can see a bunch of you watching, a bunch of you listening. Please put some questions in. Otherwise, we'll shoot across to some practice interview questions, and Lauren can judge who gives the best answer, because that's what she wants to do.
But Lauren's competing soon, as is Danielle. I am not. So
Lauren, you should be answering the questions.
All right then.
Give yourself some credit, Lauren. You're good at this.
I don't want to give it away to the competition. I'm joking.
You don't want to make the competition feel bad when they see what they're up against. That's it, isn't it?
No. See, now that would be arrogant.
Chloe, before we get to the practice questions, and Sarah Blissett has said Chloe did an amazing job with Bethany Blissett. So, well, that's another success story for you to add to chat with Chloe, isn't it? But I just edited Chloe's interview that we did probably, I think it was December last year, and I was rewatching it. I forget a lot of what people have said, not because it's Chloe, but because it's like, I realize that I'm up to like 87 interviews now, and I don't remember the details of what everyone has said. But I know for you, Chloe, the why, like knowing your why, is a huge thing for you, and I absolutely agree. So can I just give you the floor for a second? Can you tell the girls why it's so important to know your why?
It sounds silly, but I think once you have that clear, concise, and as Lauren was saying earlier, direction and that real reason, everything else falls into place. If you're taking part in pageants to build confidence, perhaps you have been picked on at school and you're able to then appreciate pageantry as an opportunity to make more friends. You're able to then give examples of things that you've been able to do with that growth and confidence. Once you have that root cause and that root reason, everything else afterwards you can build on. You can kind of go layer by layer by layer. And I found, especially over the past couple of years, not just in pageants, but with jobs, other things that I've been doing, if I have a clear direction, I am so much more confident, so much more articulate, and I can also get other people to believe in what I'm saying. If I don't believe in myself, then there's absolutely no point me sitting here and speaking to a panel of 6 or 7 judges, because they will see right through you. But if you're committed to your focus, your direction, and that actually means something to you, it's not false, it's not fake, then your interview will be half the challenge that you thought it would be.
Have you ever had girls struggle with finding out what their why is? Because I've coached for a long time, and when I ask people that, sometimes they go, I don't know my why. Have you ever found the same?
Yes, especially with some of the younger contestants. Because the reasoning differs there. If you're speaking to someone that's kind of on the Miss, Mrs. or the Ms., they've got a little bit more life experience, so can talk about deeper meanings. But I usually find that taking away the pageantry of it all, when I'm kind of working with my younger girls and just having a normal conversation, you're able to then pick apart what they're saying, and then you do get the stories of they want to make friends. They love the idea of traveling to an international competition. They've been doing charity work already, so why not add the pageantry to it? And it takes that pressure off them. So once you then get to that point and start talking about that with the girls, you can then build on that, and then you've got a fully fledged kind of why that you can build on in a pageant interview sense as well.
Joanna Johnson, the third psycho, has asked, can I have Chloe's brain, please?
No.
I already wrote no. I already answered to her no whilst you were talking, and she's gone, haha. This actually reminds me back to our interview. Everyone wanted your brain. It was like zombie land. Everyone wanted to eat Chloe's brain. Why does everybody want your brain?
I don't know.
You guys realize you can't just take her brain out and become intelligent, right? That's not how.
That's where it's all stored. A brain transplant.
But then what use would I be to anyone? Because then it would be my brain.
You'd get by a little bit with my brain, because
I would be able to learn how to dance and to cook, so this might be a fair swap.
Oh, Chloe, have you done any cooking during? Have you done any cooking during isolation?
No.
I'm not saying that you should, but I'm just curious.
Not like actual cooking. To be fair, I've even lost my touch with baking. I was at Sam's before I went into isolation, and we made a brownie, and he did peer pressure me to take it out the oven early, and it was just like a cake. It wasn't a brownie, and I was like, oh, I can't even bake anymore.
Does your sim know how to cook?
Yes, my sim does. So, my sim's doing well, I'm just not.
You probably use the cheat code on it to get it, like, up to cooking.
I did see a video of someone playing The Sims, and it was at the beginning, the sim goes to cook and ended up setting the whole house on fire.
House on fire.
That's me in real life. That's me in real life.
Well, I
Lauren,
remember when we were in Florida, we all made the adults breakfast one morning, and I think Sam was on like bacon duty and scrambled egg. I was on pancake duty. We put Chloe on laying the table and making the toast, and I think you even burnt toast, didn't you, that morning?
Yes, I think I did burn the toast when that was my only responsibility.
How do you burn toast?
Thank you. That's the question I was going to ask.
I'm just not very culinarily, is that a word? Gifted.
Joanna Johnson has said she's so intelligent. She's talking about Chloe. Ha ha ha, my sim burnt my kitchen yesterday. Can Joe cook?
Yeah, I think
I can imagine Joe being a good cook.
I wouldn't say.
Lauren is thinking about it.
You can do like chicken and vegetables. She sent us a photo earlier on.
And that looked really nice.
Yeah, it did, to be fair.
Okay, so out of the 3 psychos, who's the best cook?
Lauren.
Okay.
Thank you. I didn't even need to say a thing.
Who's the intelligent one?
Chloe.
Hey.
Who's the funny one?
Lauren.
Huh?
Who's the I asked who's the All right,
Yeah,
Danielle. Danielle, if you were to be stuck on the island, stuck on a desert island for 10 years, and
10
you had to pick...
years?
Well, let's say a year, okay? 1 year. It's hypothetical, okay? 1 year. All right, you have to spend the rest of this isolation with only one psycho. Which psycho do you pick? And why?
Joanna.
Joanna, yeah.
Which psycho do you pick and why?
Probably Joanna.
Because?
I don't know. I feel like when me and Joanna are quite like similar. On when we were
Joanna's
playing.
like a calming presence, but then sometimes she can be like
chill.
hyper.
Yeah, like Lauren, you would annoy the hell out of me.
Yeah, I'm like the annoying little sister. I literally am like the annoying little sister.
I think I wouldn't be like stimulant enough conversation for Chloe. I think Chloe would go mad with me. I'd go mad with Lauren. Chloe would go mad with me. And I think me and Joanna would be the right side of mental together.
All right, well, that's a demonstration of how to answer a tricky question. Well done, Danielle.
10 out of 10 for Mark.
Woo!
Because
Crown me.
Was offended.
Queen of the desert island.
whilst you were answering that, Dan, Joanna's actually asked, what do I bring to this group? And now she said, ha ha ha, yes, Danielle. So you've made Joe's day anyway. Okay, so that was a slight detour into Psycho Land. And just to give context, I'm not calling these 2 psychos, they call themselves the 3 psychos, just in case anyone gets offended, because it's the internet and some people don't have anything better to do than get offended. And I know that from experience. All right, do you 3 feel up to taking some pageant questions?
Yeah.
Hits with it.
Not at all, but we'll move.
Okay, I've got a bunch of random ones here. Would anyone like to go first?
Go on, Danielle.
No, don't put us on the spot like that. Just open it up to have the question and then open it up to the floor, I reckon.
Okay, so guys watching, if you have any questions about interview, whack them in the comments below, and we'll circle back to them. Otherwise, I'm going to ask these 3 lovely ladies some practice interview questions so you can see how they would handle them. And if anything, I mean, it's a bit more difficult for them to answer questions because it's hypothetical, but we'll see how they do. And on that subject, Georgia Vanston has asked, how do you go about answering questions that don't have anything to do with the pageant or your platform? I've been asked before if I would prefer to read, to watch TV. Not sure how I would really answer that and how it would get judged. That's an interesting question. So, Chloe, what about your thoughts on that?
I got asked that in my interview when I won Miss Galaxy Scotland. I think there is 2 ways to answer this question. You can just answer it face value. I like to read because I love books. I like to watch TV because I like watching things on TV. That's great. But that's not telling me anything about you. So I chose to say that I love to read and actually I've lived to read all my life, which has led me to taking the route that I have in being so academic. And actually I'm now on track to achieving a first class law degree, which is a massive achievement. And then that kind of gave the judges a little bit more of an insight into myself. I think, hypothetically speaking, if I was going to go down the TV route, I'd maybe discuss something about enjoying entertainment, perhaps if you like the social media kind of glamorous aspect of pageantry, then you could discuss that. But for me, books are my thing. They always have been my thing, and it provided me with the perfect opportunity to kind of go down that road in my interview.
See, whereas on the other side, I'm more of a visual person. So even though I would want to be the person to say books, because nothing can compare to your imagination, I am not the biggest book person, even though I have a lot of them. I don't always read them. I am definitely more of a visual person. So I would bring that into play with me setting up my YouTube channel so I can have a greater reach to get my voice out there a little bit more. So there's no shame in either of those questions. There's no shame in saying the TV. You prefer to watch the TV.
I'd say, because lately I've been glued onto watching Thai drama series, and it's only because I want to. It's because I want to expand on my language skills, and I've actually picked up like a few words, so it's okay. You know, it's as well. It's about showing your personality. If you like to watch Netflix, then go for it. Say you like to watch Netflix. I love watching docu-series about true crime. Wow, that's I'm very intrigued by history with the serial killers and stuff like that. Just be yourself. It's what they want to know. Like
be a true psycho.
I am. I watch all these crime dramas just because I love knowing how they got away with murder.
Not alarming at all.
Not at all. Louise, run.
I don't know if you guys know this, but when I ask the final 10 questions and I ask what's the job that you'd like to try other than your own, can any of you guess what the most common answer has been?
Detective.
A crime scene analyzer.
Yeah, close. It's like forensic psychologist
CSI,
or like a CSI. That's been the most common answer. People want to, for some reason, pageant queens want to study murder scenes. I don't understand it. It was really quite freaky for a sec. Every interview was like, I want to be a CSI. I want to be a forensic psychologist. I want to work with murderers. I was like am I interviewing the right people here?
Like crime,
interesting.
Crime scenes. I love it.
Yeah, your Miss Grand New Zealand was a crime scene investigator, like a forensic.
It was so interesting. I loved hearing about her job. I was like, tell me more.
So
please.
cool.
I was like, have you seen a dead body? She's like, yeah. I'm like, oh my God, amazing.
Moving on, Georgia has also asked, so again, I'll throw it to Chloe as our resident expert, and then Danielle and Lauren will have their 2 pence worth. How would you answer, why did you choose this system?
I'm not going to throw a hypothetical answer at you, but I do think whatever system you've chosen, again, that comes down to finding your why, but also showing your real passion. So if your system perhaps leads to an international competition, what do you know about that international competition? Do they have a particular message? For example, and obviously Lauren and Danielle have both done Miss Grand International, where they have that clear, very obvious message of stop the war and violence. So if I was if I was competing in the UK and I was going for an international title that had that clear ethos and that clear message, then I definitely want to bring that in. And don't be afraid as well to show your emotion. If this is a dream come true for you, tell the judges that. Not everything has got to be, this is my reason and this is because. Don't be afraid to kind of tell the judges exactly how you feel, talk about your passion, and talk with emotion as well.
Yeah, I think I can throw a real life example in this is when I was interviewing for Miss Grand Wales at the UK Power Pageant. One of the judges said, well, what title do you want? Because obviously we had the choice of 3. I had a clear direction knowing that I wanted Miss Grand Wales because it aligned with everything that I thought and what I stood for. A lot of people don't know, but I was attacked I think it was 2014, and left with substantial injuries after it. And it was just something that I really felt passionate about with the Stop the War and Violence campaign. It was something that I could really, really take on and do something with. Although my platform has changed and evolved more since then, at that time it was something that I really felt passionate about and something that I really wanted to be involved with.
Yeah. I remember you mentioning that in our first interview. It seems like years ago. I think it was back in 2018. Sophia Newman has said, I had a question at my first pageant. What's your favorite TV show? It threw me a little to try to link that to pageantry. What would you say about that, Chloe? Because my initial, like, if they ask you a sort of a random question like that, it still does give you a chance to show who you were. So what thoughts do you have on that?
Don't feel the need to link everything back to pageantry if it's not natural. I think that is definitely a really common interview mistake, is feeling that pressure to go, oh, they've asked me a really normal random question, so how on earth do I take it into winning this pageant? And if your favourite TV show is The Great British Bake Off because you have a secret passion for baking, or you just enjoy Mary Berry when she was on it, then tell them that. If you enjoy at the moment, like me, streaming Disney Plus because it allows you to have, you know, half an hour of where you just can chill out and relax, tell the judges that. You don't need to link everything back to pageantry. Your interview is all about you and your personality, and a question like that is 100% where I take advantage of showing me.
Nice. Joanna Johnson has said, forensic scientist, my dream job. What? Really? Oh, that's right.
My
yes.
two best friends are both interested in serial killers.
Yeah, that's right. I remember when I was interviewing you, Joe, somehow got on the subject of serial killers, and Lauren said that if she disappeared, you know why. It's all coming back to me now. All these memories, PTSD. Jasmine Foley, hey, Jasmine, has said, I love crime documentaries about killers too. You see, it's a recurring theme. All you pageant girls are fascinated by serial killers.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie, I did love the Ted Bundy tapes. They're so good.
Yeah.
Like, he was craziness. He managed to escape twice.
You're not the first person to tell me that as well, specifically the Ted Bundy tapes, that they've loved that. So is that on
really
Netflix?
Good. Yeah, and How to Make a Murderer.
I think it's fascinating how like forensic science has evolved since then as well. So looking at the differences and how like 10 years later or 20 years later they managed to solve the crime with new technology. I'm like, wow, okay, like this is cool.
Sounds like I'll have to do some digging and investigating. I love Dexter, but Dexter wasn't really based in science. It was kind of sciencey, but not. It was much more fiction.
That wasn't realistic enough for me. I like the real stuff.
I love the fact that he was a psychopath and he was just so awkward about it. That was my favorite part, was watching a psychopath trying to blend in. And the scary part was when the psychopath in the room was the most sensible person in the room. That was when it got really worrying. Like, all the other humans were weird, but the psychopath is a normal one.
Well, I brought a game to Florida with us, and it was like a case, crime scene like case thing, and you had to solve it. And we had such good fun solving that. I mean, we managed to do it in very good time as well.
That'd be interesting.
Like,
should have a.
He couldn't have murdered her. The distance from the crime scene to where he was found doesn't add up.
Should try that
the blood
Chicago.
Are going in the wrong direction.
Well, Danielle Jade Hall has chimed in. Hey, ladies, congratulations to the new Ms. Galaxy UK with an X.
Oh, thank you, Jade.
Has it sunk in yet, Danielle, that you won?
No, I don't think. Like I said, I don't think it ever will. Especially with coronavirus as well. I don't feel like I had so much planned already.
Yeah.
Like this coming month, I had 2 trips planned to go abroad with the Crown, and they've both been cancelled. So it's a bit like it doesn't feel real yet because I haven't been able to do what I wanted to do. If you get what I mean. So yeah, it's a bit frustrating, but I'm trying to have like a really strong online presence as well. So to make up for it. So It's working. I've had a few people message me saying, like, keep up the good work with the online stuff. So that's been really encouraging. Cool. Yeah, it's been really nice. I think people understand.
Of course. It's like the whole world's like this. So pageant appearances have to go on the back burner for now.
Yeah. I think Coral Larissa Catherine Hopkinson. Wow, that's a lovely name. That's a long name. She said Dexter. Yes. Well, I'm glad I'm not the only one who likes Dexter. I've seen a lot of people sort of expressing and ranting on social media. There's nothing to do with interview. We'll circle back to the questions in a sec. But sort of they're ranting at people who aren't staying at home. But I kind of think the problem with that is the people on your social media, particularly on Facebook that you're friends with, they tend to be like-minded. So there's literally, and they're your friends. So if you're sensible, they're probably sensible. There's literally 0 point ranting and raving on social about OMG, you know, NH, like all your friends are already doing that. And it just, I think if you were a queen and you start ranting and raving, or even if you're a competitor, I think it's a bad look. I understand why you're ranting and raving, but I think you're ranting and raving at the wrong people. And I focus on the positive. There's a lot of positives happening.
I've seen a lot of negativity of people ranting and raving. It's just like, I don't want to read that. I want respite from all of this. Like, and also, are your friends really going to listen to you? They're going to read that post and go, oh yeah, I'm actually going to stay in. No, they're going to be like, oh, why is she whinging? Okay, I'm going to go out just to annoy her even more. You know, it's not the do you know, like, maybe that's just my mentality, but
I was going to say that's how you would do it.
There's a way to do it, and it's with education rather than ranting and raving.
Exactly.
And useful resources rather than just attacking someone on a status. Why not post something that is informative and that can help them learn why they're making those mistakes and why they are mistakes?
Absolutely. And this is the last thing I'll say before we go to the interview. The one that really gets me is when someone is being passive aggressive about it and they're referring to one person, and you know it's about one person, but they just won't name them. And I'm just like, it's so, I can't stand it. Anyway,
don't air your dirty laundry on social media.
Yeah. Okay, I'm in agreement with that. Okay, let's ask a question. Chloe, as our guest, pick a number between 1 and 10, because I have 10 questions here. Pick a number between 1 and 10. And then I'll ask you that question.
7.
7. Okay, so this is for Chloe. What is the most important thing you did to prepare for this pageant? Why did you do that?
Okay, so let me just get into if I was competing mode. So for me, the most important way of preparing for a pageant is probably different to every other girl out there, and that's to make sure that I am mentally ready. I have suffered quite severely with mental health issues over my in my personal life, from being a young teenager all the way up to being an adult. And I think competing in pageants has given me an opportunity to really build on my mental strength and my mental resilience. So I'd want to ensure, and I think, you know, I am presenting as that today, that I was ready, committed and mentally strong in terms of the challenge ahead of me. And not only that, I also think that if I was afforded the opportunity to take the title, I'd like to use that passion and that message to ensure that other girls that perhaps had felt the same and gone through the same struggles as I had could look to me as someone, as an example of what they could hope to achieve.
Queen.
Lauren, are you?
I'm like, yeah, okay.
Everyone else is just going, crap, I couldn't answer like that.
I'm not even competing right now, guys.
Yeah, that's why I said for you, actually, it's extra difficult because it is hypothetical, and then it's built to, you know, doing a practice interview question about a hypothetical pageant that you're not competing in. So you did very, very well. That's why you're the coach. All right. Lauren, with her judgmental face on, would you like to pick a number between 1 and 10? But 7 is gone.
11.
1 and 10?
Because I don't... Okay. 5.
Oh, this is a juicy one.
Is it almost as bad as my Hugh Hefner question that I got at Galaxy?
Well, it's along maybe the same lines, but maybe only half as bad. The question is, do you think the swimsuit round is derogatory?
So if I'm talking from personal experience, for me, in my own mind, it isn't derogatory, and I don't feel that the audience are judging me in that way. For me, it's about showing a healthy body is a healthy mind. The more I work out, the more my mind is clear, and I'm able to put my actions and motivate myself more. So for me, I don't see it as derogatory. I just see it as promoting a healthy lifestyle and a healthy mind.
Very nice. Chloe looks very proud of you, like a little mum. She's like your mum. She's like this.
I'm noting everything down, like Miss Wales is when, we're going to do this now.
Danielle, so a number between 1 and 10, 5 is gone, 7 is gone. Are you going to pick 8?
I am going to pick 8. You know, it's my lucky number.
Okay. Well, this is a bit of a simple one, I feel. But anyway, if you win this pageant, are you prepared to take on the responsibilities that come along with a pageant title?
Absolutely. I'd like to hope that I have proven that I am a worthy winner in the run-up to here with all the work that I have done, with my promotion of volunteering, and yeah, I'd like to hope and continue that so that I am prepared, ready for the title. Chloe, I need your help. I started off all right, then I started rambling.
Sometimes I feel the easy question is probably the hardest one to answer.
I find it hard to elaborate on a really easy question, because sometimes I want to go, yeah, I've shown that I've worked hard in the run up to this, and end it quick.
Yeah.
Chloe, what would
the juicier ones?
Yeah, Chloe, what would your thoughts be if you were to be asked a question like that and you simply said yes? Would you ever?
Yes. What would you do with the title? Yes. No, I think if it's natural for you to give a concise and shorter answer, then do it. If you want to go into a little bit more depth about what exactly you'd want to achieve, then by all means do that. I think questions like that depend on at what point you are, you're at in the interview. If you feel like you've already told the judges loads, it's kind of winding down, wrapping up, and you just want to be like, do you know what? Right. I have worked hard.
Yep.
Yeah. Then be concise. If it's right at the beginning and you have that time to kind of get your message across, then I'd be looking for a couple of real tangible examples of what you've done, and then maybe something of what you'd hope to do as well.
Mm-hmm. But do you know what always ends up happening though is once you've answered your question, you leave that interview room and you're like, oh, I should have said that.
Yeah.
And
you know what?
This is where practice comes in though, is practicing those questions and knowing after you've answered it, oh, I should have said that. Let me write that down just as a little bullet point so I can look back and maybe go, oh, that's what maybe I'd say as well.
But the good thing about my interview at Galaxy UK was I didn't walk out feeling like, oh, I should have said that, I forgot to say that. I got everything that I wanted to say out, and it came out naturally because I kept my answers concise and to the point and finished them off nicely. And then that meant I had a lot more questions thrown at me. On average, the girls had about 3 questions. I had around about 7 or 8 questions thrown at me, so I had a lot more to answer, so they got more sides of me, I suppose, because I was managed to answer more questions. So that is what I wanted to do. I want to keep it concise and answer the question just so there is wiggle room. Wiggle room. Wiggle room.
Wiggle room. Wiggle room.
Hey, ain't no baby in there. So that you got more wiggle room for more questions.
Yeah.
And my problem is I ramble because I want to fill the time. So I'm concise is good for me.
Nice.
I think the one thing as well that I was always told, if there is dead air, what is it, empty, what do they call it, like when the room just goes silent after you finish your
like
question?
empty space.
Yeah.
It's not you, it's the judges, because they can't figure out what question they're going to
question say next.
So don't try and fill that with anything. Just don't just try and say anything. Like, at the end of the day, like, that's the judge's fault for not coming up with another question to follow on from what you've just finished answering. So don't try and like just ramble on if it goes silent. Wait for the judges to get their minds together and answer another question then.
Yeah, the judges were very good at that at UK Galaxy this year. They were very good at like picking up one after the other. So there was no awkward silences.
I mean, I always find, and I know girls have come back to me with feedback, is that you are able to control your interview from the outset by your body language, how you answer questions, how you walk into the room. And if you have it in your mind that you're going to go into that room and you're going to make it a conversation, then the chances of there being that empty space and that there being that awkward silence become less and less and less. And it also becomes far more natural because you're saying something that the judges are genuinely interested in. So they're going to want to know more, or they're going to want to know something else, and just to kind of discover what makes you tick. I think the girls that put so much pressure on themselves, and I was one of these people. I was like, I've got to be the ultimate professional. This is a job interview. This is like life or death. I've been in that position, and even now, you know, if I was going to go to a city law firm and interview for my dream job, I'd want to be in the mindset of, this is a conversation. I'm going to go in there, show them why I have all the qualities that they need, and then walk out feeling fantastic. I'm not going to sit outside going, oh my God, this is it, because you lose that control that you have over that situation.
Yeah.
Let us take another interview question each, and then we'll wrap this up because we've been on for a while. So guys, if you have any more questions for anyone about interview, put them in the comments below, because this would be your last chance. It's not very often you have three very experienced pageant queens in front of you get to ask them questions. All right, so I've got numbers 11 through 20 up in front of me now. Danielle, why don't you go first this time? We'll flip the order. So we'll go Danielle, Lauren, and then Chloe. So between 11 and 20.
14, please.
14. All right. So if you imagine that you were at Galaxy on the Friday, the question would be...
Stop putting this pressure on me. I'm used to like a panel of like 6 people in front of me, not the whole world watching live.
The question, Miss Latimer, what did you think of the competition today?
I mean, well, I haven't experienced it yet, so I can't really say.
So, okay, if I asked you afterwards then.
Okay.
So what did you think of the competition today?
I don't understand, because you're in interview. So you haven't had the competition yet.
So what if it meant competition by the other girls?
About the other girls? Oh,
yeah.
Maybe that's what it means. These are American questions. All right, so let's take it like that.
I'd be that person. I'd be like, we haven't had the competition yet, because you know why I say that, and why my mentality is like that is because I don't see the girls as competition. I know you have that beautiful, definition of what competition is, but for me, I don't see my fellow competition as competition for me, because we're all so unique. We would all bring something so different to the title, and I'm sure when I'm at a competition like that, I'd be making so many friends. So knowing that I'll be able to take friends from all around the world from this is just going to be brilliant.
Well, I mean, damn, you answered that really well. And the original Latin meaning, Chloe probably knows this because she's a giant brain. The initial Latin meaning is to seek together. So compete actually means to seek something together. You weren't the only one, Danielle, as well. Kylie Rose has actually said, I don't understand the question. And Chloe, on that point, if you got asked a question and you don't understand it, what do you do?
At first, if I misheard, I would say, could you repeat it? And if it was a genuine don't understand, I'd just be honest and say, is there any way that you could rephrase that? you know, I would like to give it a go, or would like to answer it, or don't do what I do and sit here going,
the competition hasn't happened yet, so what are you on about?
I've asked a question where it's like, can you describe yourself in 3 words? And they're like 3 separate words that happened like 1 year at Galaxy, and we were like, yeah, like 3 words to describe yourself, and like 3 separate words. Yeah. Even if it was like you wanted to do 3 words altogether, like go for it, like fabulous, like okay, like that's fine.
Together with that this entire thing here. Olivia McPike has said, "Hello, girls, miss you all," with a heart.
Hey,
Miss Galaxy UK. Okay, so I think, Danielle, you answered that question really well by bringing it around to compete. Lauren, between 11 and 20 and 14 is gone.
18.
18. What is your favorite phase of competition, and why do you believe it is important?
So personally, like for me, it's changed throughout the years. At first, my favorite round used to be swimwear. Now, because no, this pageant doesn't. Well, it used to be fashion wear, then swimwear, but now I would say evening gown. I've really taken a risk this pageant, and I've chosen something completely different, which shows another side of my personality, and it's something I came up with and travelled all the way to Thailand to create, and it's finally come to life, and I'm able to show everyone exactly another side of my personality that you may not have seen before, and it's completely new for the audience and for all my friends to see.
Very nice.
Very good.
Except for stumbling over my words.
Lucky last, Chloe. 11 between 11 and 20, 14 and 18 are gone.
19.
Okay. Describe someone who has helped you with pageant preparation. What do you appreciate most about them?
So, someone that's helped me with pageant preparation is not a someone. My 2 best friends, thankfully, I've met them through pageants, and our friendship has blossomed because of pageants, have brought me out of my shell, and I think that's something that's really important. In everyday life, I am quite bookish, quite geeky. If there's someone at their laptop typing away in a coffee shop, that's me. But throughout pageants, because of the influence that these 2 girls have had on me, I have become more personable, more talkative. I am able to go into a room and talk to anyone and have a bit of a laugh, and also try not to take myself too seriously. And I think in participating in a hobby that can be really competitive, being able to take a step back and say, well, actually it is a pageant, it's not life or death, and I can take myself a little bit less seriously is really important.
Lauren, whilst Chloe, you were answering that question, Lauren was doing, I don't know if you saw her, she assumed that you were talking about her.
Oh, I was talking about my dog and my mum.
Liar.
I just want to switch, and whoever wants to switch angles just for a sec. If anyone out there is asked to judge, because that does happen, and you are judging interview, what sort of expressions should you show on your face? Because I'm just realizing I'm listening to your answers, all of your guys' answers, and because of what I do, naturally I've got quite an expressive and empathetic face. I can't sit here and just look like I'm bored out of my brain. But if you were judging, not that I was, to clarify, but if you're judging and you are asking the interview question, or you're on the interview panel, do you guys have any pointers as to what sort of, like, how expressive you should be as a judge on the panel?
I sit there like this, I do this.
So you have that same face on for like hours on end?
But then if they say something interesting, obviously your natural reaction is to go, oh wow, okay, like your face will change, but always like keep it friendly and smile and be engaged in what they're saying. That's what your job as a judge is to do, is engage and just...
It's very rare that I find that judges It's very rare that you find judges that are actually smiling. Most interviews that I've been into, there's usually been one, maybe two judges smiling, just because they've had enough by the time I've come in.
I'm the smiley judge just because I think as a contestant, I know exactly how nervous they are and how nice it is to walk into a room and actually see smiles on judges' faces. So I always try and smile as much as possible. Yeah,
I'm a smiley judge too.
I think I try and smile, but I think Adrian, I've probably got the same issue. I don't know, the same affliction as you, where my face gives me away. I always try and make a conscious effort to genuinely look engaged and be engaged. But then I also think it's difficult when you've got a girl that turns around in an interview and says you are her role model to not go, oh, that's amazing, thank you so much. So it's at the same time, you've got to be kind of on that same level with everyone. Give or take. If someone says something extremely interesting, you will, as Lauren says, it's natural for you to go, oh. And
would you give them extra points if they said you're their role model? Is that why they're doing it? They're thinking, oh,
take points off.
Yeah.
Suck up.
Suck off.
Points off.
Joanna, give me the $5 later.
Joanna Johnson has said cutie. I don't know why she said cutie. Who's cutie?
Probably to me.
I don't know. It's certainly not to me. I've
saying that it was because of us.
Because I've done so many interviews, and what Chloe was saying about the affliction, it's you, because I've watched so many of my interviews because I edit it back. I have to train my face out of that a little bit, but I also don't force smiles well. So Lauren and Danielle saying that they're the smiley judges. If I smiled like that, I think I just look like the Joker on the panel. I think people would find it very disturbing. So I don't do it.
It's a little bit psycho.
Psycho. Good answer. Yeah. Joanna Johnson said Chloe's answer. Okay, cutie. All right, let's wrap this up. So guys, if you have any final questions for our panel today, put them in. But Chloe, just to wrap up, I know that you said you're not taking private, like one-on-one clients at the moment. So can you maybe just explain to the audience why, and if they do want help or feel they need your help, what's the plan in terms of moving forwards for yourself?
I'm doing a couple more lives. I think I will do one towards the end of this week and probably next week. I just think with especially in the UK, we are so restricted on movement. I know a lot of people have concerns about jobs and things like that. So I just think perhaps paying for pageant training, coaching, whatever you want to call it, is not on the list of priorities. So if I can do a couple of lives and reach, let's say 100 girls, maybe less, maybe more, I think that would be far more beneficial. And I just think people have got more on their plates, and we should all be thinking about staying safe and being ready for whatever comes next.
Cool.
But also she has me and Joanna to sort out.
Yeah.
And me. Yeah, we're all got a list.
Oh, Joanna has actually written in the comments because she's busy with me. What is busy with you? Okay. Joe, how is pageant prep going for yourself? Let us know. She's put a smiley face on one of those emojis. So that's what's going on with Chloe. So do you have the next live scheduled or not yet?
Not yet, but it will be towards the end of this week.
Okay, cool. Let's wrap this up. So in terms of what we're going to be busy with over the coming weeks, I mean, I know that's isolation and we can't leave the house, but Chloe, do you have any plans, exciting plans apart from burning the house down with your sim?
So I have a bit of not a secret passion, but something that not many people know about me. I'm really passionate about learning languages, hence the Mandarin that I mentioned in my last interview. So I'm going to be helping my boss's little girl learn some Spanish. That's what I've been brushing up on over the last week as well. And I think just taking some time for me and trying to be not as anxious about what's going on in the world is something that I'm going to be focusing on.
How many languages do you speak?
None fluently, but I know a little bit of Spanish, a little bit of French, a tiny bit of German, basic Mandarin, a little bit of Zulu, and a little bit of Italian.
Zulu. Give us something in Zulu.
So the one bit I can really remember is Sawubona, means good morning in Zulu.
Wow. Okay, I learned something today. That's amazing. Miss Parkinson, what exciting plans do you have for world domination?
Oh, well, I am obviously going to be writing down my why tonight, a few little bullet points to save my No, I think all in all, I was in, as you probably are aware, when people were asking me at Miss Galaxy UK, they were like, are you ready for Miss Wales? I am mentally trying to keep myself in that good place and still carry that on whilst we are in this situation at the moment. But it also frees up my time to get some mental preparation done. Go into, I know it's been pushed back now to August the 8th, so if anyone was planning to come to Miss Wales, it's no longer April 25th, it's now August the 8th. So it's now just getting myself still mentally prepared and extending that until then.
That's super easy to remember, August the 8th, 8th of the 8th.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, hopefully it brings me some good luck.
8's my lucky number.
There we go. Danielle, I need you to come with me and be my lucky charm.
Well, if things have cleared up by then and I have that time free, I'd love to come over as well. 8th of August is 5 months away, 4 months away.
Only if you bring Tim Tams. That's the condition.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
Not for me though. I'll have them after.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain that all the Tim Tams I gave away at UK Galaxy are deceased now. Talking about crime scene investigations, they're all gone.
Are there any Tim Tams out there that have survived?
No.
Are
no.
you
And
out there?
I would just like to say I brought the double coat ones, which are twice as good as the original ones, because I'm that sort of person. Joanna Johnson has said, "Great minds, Lauren." Okay. I can't remember what that's about, Joe, but yes, I agree that you and Lauren both have great minds.
Busy training us.
Well, and Olivia McPike has said, "and me." So Chloe, Olivia wants. You're having a huge waiting list. It's actually
my hands are full, guys. With these guys, my hands are full.
It's very clever. It's like the way in some restaurants they won't take bookings and they make you wait outside. So you have this really huge queue, and when people see the queue, they automatically assume the restaurant must be amazing. Versus when you walk past a restaurant and it's empty, you assume, at least I do, that it's horrible. So this is very clever business-wise. You've got a huge queue, and everyone's going, "and me, and me, and me," and you're just like, "I'm not taking any clients." It's like very savvy. It's like, I can add you to my waiting list. Just put your email in the box below and hit subscribe and be like, yeah.
Yeah.
I promise it's just come from trying to be a better person and like worry about people.
Maggie G has said, "I need Tim Tams." Joanna Johnson has put in a couple of upside down smiley faces, and Olivia still has Tim Tams.
What?
That's because you baked that brownie the other day. So you have been eating chocolate, and I don't blame you for eating the brownie over the Tim Tams. I told Olivia she should have turned that into a TikTok, because she literally took like a little photo of each stage, and she doesn't have TikTok. So everyone should have TikTok by now.
We'll get her on.
What are you doing with your life, Olivia?
Even I've got TikTok.
My mum has TikTok.
Has she made any TikToks yet?
No, she just likes watching other people's.
I love how you would
at the moment, and then she will like move herself into making them, because that's what everyone does. They watch people for so long and they're like, I'm gonna make one.
Well, she's been in the background of one of yours. She had the funniest face in the background of yours. She looked so unimpressed.
She was like, delete it, film it again without me.
Okay, so Danielle, what about yourself? What exciting plans do you have?
Exciting plans. So I filmed the YouTube video today. So tomorrow I will be editing and uploading. And then for the rest of the week, I'll probably make one more video and get that out towards the end of the week, possibly at the weekend. So my main focus this weekend is actually getting back on the health bandwagon, because I had rolled off of that health wagon. So it's time to jump back on. I haven't left the house other than to go grocery shopping in the past 3 weeks. So I do actually need to get out and get some fresh air and go for a walk at some point as well, maybe a run, and get back into the thing. Do some home workouts, just because I'm starting to feel a bit like a potato at the moment, so I need to do something.
I tried the home workouts for one day and I gave up after that.
I looked at my step count yesterday. I did 225 steps, so it's not very good.
It's probably from your room to the fridge and back again. Is 225 steps. Someone put up, I need to practice social isolation from my fridge.
Yeah. So yeah, I need to get moving a little bit more.
Speaking of staying active, I don't know how many of you guys know Marcy Reed. I know Danielle knows Marcy Reed. And she actually competes in figure competitions. So she's very fit, but she hates cardio. And she put up on her story that she was going to do cardio because she can't get to the gym, I think. She hated it to the extent that halfway through she puts up another story and she's actually crying because she hates cardio so much. She's literally like tears coming down her face. God. And then in another story, she said, this is how you know that how unusual it is for me to do cardio. She went to do cardio and her dad went to find her to ask her if she's okay because she's doing cardio. He thought something was wrong with her. I thought that was hilarious. Anyway, let's hold it there. And Chloe, thanks for being our guest and thanks for your wisdom, your expertise.
Thanks for having me.
Anytime. And thank you to Lauren and Danielle as always. Next week is episode number 20. We've made it to 20. Wow. I thought that's a nice round number. And Danielle and Lauren or Chloe, would anyone like to guess who's going to be our guest next week?
Olivia.
Nope. I'm interviewing Olivia, but nope.
Charlotte Fleming. Yeah, did I get it?
In one. Yeah.
Yay!
So if you haven't seen the photo of our crazy podcast crew, the photo is just like, given what I had in mind and then looking at what Charlotte's managed to do, it's like, oh my God, that turned out rather well. So we'll have Charlotte Clemmy on the show next week so we can talk about all things photo shoots, headshots, and what it's like to be the real life Barbie, which apparently not many people knew, but I knew because I watched her interview back and I was like, oh my God, like you can see my reaction in the interview. I thought it was a joke. And then it wasn't, and I became so fascinated by it. I still have questions about being the real life Barbie. Anyway. Okay, we'll hold it there. Thanks to everyone for watching, and thanks to everyone who submitted questions, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Hey guys, it's Adrian again. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and remember to head over to pageantlaunch.com and join the launch team for our pageant review site. All you need to do is put in your email address. Thanks, and speak to you next time.